Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you can take your seats, please. I hope you enjoyed your coffee and your caffeine intake and that you managed to walk around the stands. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, C.H. Robinson, for hosting the coffee break. This session is an important session because it's all about the customer. So it's everything we do, I suppose, at our conference is ultimately about making sure the customer's provided with the vehicle and the service that he wants at the end of that he needs and wants, and at the right cost. So this is how this session we're looking at what's happening. What's the customer experience? What does it mean for the industry? How does it impact vehicle distribution and vehicle logistics? And to hear how the industry is developing in that kind of way. We've got an interesting panel looking at different parts of the industry, presentation from kind of, communications company giving us sharing their ideas, someone who was in both sides of the industry to share his experiences. Probably the most important person in the whole room, in the whole conference, in fact, a dealer, a vehicle dealer, who our aim is, any part of the conference, the aim is to keep the vehicle dealer happy. And we're very delighted to have young Dennis Mans joining the session, just a young intern who's trying to understand and learn about the industry. But the first presentation of the morning, I'm delighted to welcome back a great friend of Automotive Logistics, spoke at various of our sessions around the world, around North America in the past. And it's great to have back Rebecca Lindland, Senior Director of Commercial Insights for Kelley Blue Book. Rebecca.
It's so nice to be back, so thank you so much for the invitation, Louis. It's really a pleasure. I've been overseas the last few years, and so that's where I disappeared to. But I'm back now, and I actually work for Kelley Blue Book, which is part of Cox Automotive. And a lot of people are not that familiar with us, so I just wanted to throw this up there really quickly. We actually own a couple of logistics companies. We own Central Dispatch and Ready Logistics. Not gonna lie to you, I don't know what they do. There's 60,000 people that work for this company. And when I joined, I thought, oh, it's a nice Kelley Blue Book. There's a few hundred people. But Cox Automotive itself is actually between 30 and 35,000 people. And then we also own Cox Communications and such. So it's a privately held company. But we're really about getting the consumer from the start to finish and everything in between. So when Louis asked me to speak, I said, sure, I'm happy to do this. One of the things that we do really well at Kelley Blue Book is surveys. We've got a huge audience. About 20 million people visit the site every month, and about 85% of them are actually shopping for a car. So we stop them and ask them to take these kinds of surveys. So this is basically the main objective here was to understand the use of mobile devices at the dealership. And how did we do this? We interrupted them while they were on the site. Some of the criteria, though, is that they had to have visited a dealership in the last 3 months. So this is very current. We just did this at the end of August. So this is very current, very up to date right now. We've got about 1,850 respondents. So what's interesting is that 30% of people actually bought a vehicle on their last dealership shopping experience, which means that 72% left empty-handed. And that, to me, is a lot of opportunity. As I've told people before, especially women, we don't go to dealerships to shop. That's what the Macy's shoe department is for. When we go to a dealership, we are there to purchase. And I think it's something really important that dealers understand, that as women come into the showroom, we are there to buy. We've done all of our research. We don't need to look at the overhead mirror or anything. We just are there to buy our car. But I don't know, you can't really see it very well, but 41% purchased a used vehicle. We have 32% that purchased new. 19% purchased CPO, which is something that we're working on getting that number and showing the value of the CPO purchase. And then 8% leased. So what's interesting to me when I was preparing this is inventory selection and the role of inventory in how people utilize their mobile devices. 51% use their phone while being shown inventory by the salesperson. 50% use it test driving, which I'm going to go with the safety thing and assume that they hooked up their car to Bluetooth and they weren't texting or something while they were on the test drive. 47% were walking around the lot by themselves, which again is a little bit terrifying when you think about the reasons why people go to a dealership. It's to buy the car. 47% are walking around. During these types of activities, 4 in 10 are using a mobile device. Again, walking around unaided, they're using their device, they're walking around the lot, they're looking at that inventory selection that's at the dealer lot. They're shown inventory by the salesperson, they're test driving the vehicles, they're negotiating the deal, they're signing the paperwork. Louis told me that he actually just has his car delivered. He is an early adopter at 3% of people get their car just delivered to them. He is a trend setter in this regard. Most of the people, 97%, are still going to the dealership. So again, that dealership is really important, and the inventory that they have on hand is critical. Shoppers are utilizing their mobile device really for performing vehicle tasks there, vehicle shopping related opportunities there. They're looking at trade-in values, they're looking at their trade-in price, they're coming to KBB to get their value. 33% are using it to contact friends and do social media. Consumers are shopping and researching that inventory availability at that dealership. 52% are looking up and comparing prices while they're at the dealership. It's kind of showrooming, as we'd heard before from an electronics standpoint. They're comparing different models. 47% are looking to go someplace else. They're looking at that inventory and seeing if they don't see it on the lot because they want immediate satisfaction, they're looking to see what dealer in the area does have it and where else can I go. Websites really serve as a place, in my mind, to reinforce brand benefits, highlight inventory selection at that point of sale. 77% are actually visiting the dealer's website while they're at the dealer. So it's not enough to just be there. They're actually on their phone looking at that dealer website. One of the companies that Cox just bought was dealer.com, and one of the things that we do is create dealer websites. So this was a really interesting number for us. 54% are using brands like Kelley Blue Book to look at get their trade-in value right there in case it changed from the night before probably, and they're looking at it to keep track of that. 34% are actually on the manufacturer's website, which we thought was kind of interesting when we look at these numbers. It's not, the manufacturer's website is not as important at that point of sale. It's really about that dealer website. What are they finding there? What inventory is available for them to take home that day? So in my mind, when we look at the opportunities and the risks, the dealership in no way, shape, or form is dead. Not everyone leaves with a purchase, though, and I think there's a window of opportunity there. Mobile can be both a blessing and a curse, depending upon how it's used. You can look at the showroom, you can get deals there, but you can also go and find out where you can leave and go and get your needs met. Inventory selection, availability, they play a really crucial role in that dealership experience. From a finished vehicle logistics standpoint, I think that's really important that you understand that this is still a very, very critical role in the buying process and in that purchase process. So I wanted to keep it nice and short so we have plenty of opportunity for discussion. So those are some of my key takeaways from ours. We have other vehicle studies that we're doing as well. We just are in the process of doing an autonomous vehicle study, which again is really, really interesting. We're showing that to the media this week and next week. It's embargoed right now, but we'll be happy to share some other information that we have as well. So thank you very much. Oh, we have extra slides here. I'll let you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for sharing those insights. Maybe because I'm not such a young person, I guess I was surprised by some of the statistics that you showed there. But then again, as surprised as I was, I'm kind of not surprised. Maybe I'm surprised that other people do it. Maybe the fact, you're looking at the dealer's website when you're actually at the dealer. I suppose it's the kind of stuff that I do. Probably do it when I'm in a shop, even buying other stuff. That's the kind of thing I would do. But I just thought I was an idiot who did it. I didn't realize everyone did that kind of stuff. So it was very interesting to see those figures and to see how different people purchase and have the dealer experience. So thank you very much for a very interesting perspective. There's no other presentations as such, but I just wanted to get a couple of comments from the other panel members. I'll introduce the panel members. Firstly, after Rebecca is Gary Moore. Gary Moore is the CEO of Moore Transport. Beyond Gary is Ralph Shaheen, who is the president of Shaheen Chevrolet. And beyond Ralph is Dennis Manns, the CEO of Road and Rail Services. So I'd just like to bring Gary Moore in at this stage. The reason why we invited Gary to join this panel is, and I'm not sure how unusual it is, but it was unusual for me to hear this, that Gary Moore used to have a dealership. He used to have a car dealership, and now he's gone into finished vehicle logistics and has a transportation company. So I just wanted to hear a little bit about Gary's background and what he did. And then, and obviously, the interest beyond that is what Gary learned from a dealership, that when he went into vehicle logistics transportation. Gary, what did you take with you to think this is why I think I can maybe do things different as a transporter, as a logistics company, having come from the dealership, and now that you've come now that you're in transportation. What kind of advice would you give to your old self? What advice would you give to dealers to make the experience better? So Gary, what kind of, can you just elaborate on that, give a brief introduction of who you are and a little bit on my comments?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Give you a brief introduction of who I am. I'm Gary Moore, CEO and owner of Moore Transport. And I started in the automotive industry back in the early 80s in the wholesale segment of the business. After several years of participating in that segment of the business, I had an opportunity to move into the retail sector of the business with Ford. I was awarded Texoma Ford in Denison, Texas, and through that relationship, I also purchased a Mazda franchise in Denison, Texas as well. A few years later, I was awarded another dealership in Durant, Oklahoma, and later Sand Springs, Oklahoma, and which is a small suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Over the course of several years, I was able to achieve multiple President's Awards from Ford. And that is achieved based upon overall customer retail experience. And that's really what we're here to talk about today, is the retail customer experience. And so this is the theme of my overall introduction. How do we provide excellent customer experience no matter who the customer may be? And we can kind of dive into that area a little bit more and talk about how we can serve the customer a little bit better. Around 2005, I formed Moore Transport. I also still own all of my dealerships, but was in the process of exiting that end of the business. And it wasn't until 2006 that I was able to totally exit that side of the business and open up a used car dealership, along with purchasing several trucks to gain access in the car haul industry. As you can see, all my years of experience in the new car industry, I saw an amazing need for change in the car haul industry, a way that I could bring my experience in giving to the retail customer an amazing experience on the car haul side of the industry. I concentrated my efforts on the used sector of the business. Mainly, the focus was on moving cars from auctions to used dealerships around the southern part of the country. This slowly grew to a relationship with a few new car haul companies, and we continued our growth pattern. Later, we were awarded a new car contract in 2010 and departed the used car industry altogether. We now have just under 300 trucks and contracts with about every new car OEM in the industry. And all of this was achieved by keeping the customer as the number one focus of our business. The best possible way to afford this to an OEM is to produce a service that is quality-driven in a timely manner. That is, to deliver cars damage-free within the time span allocated. But it goes a little bit further than that. The idea is that we all have to bring added value to the overall sales experience. So I stress to our employees that we are the face of our customers to theirs. In a manner, we are the face that the dealer sees when they get their new vehicles delivered. We need to not present only a timely and damage-free product, but we need to do it in a clean truck with a professional appearance through the best technological processes and a back office process that strives for excellence. Dealerships needs new products. They especially need the priority products, the ones that are already sold, the new models, the hotter selling items. The OEM needs room. They need us to manage dwell and delivery times as well. Both need quality completed in a swift manner. They both need the same components in one way or another. And our business provides the bandwidth needed to achieve the end result. That result being the overall customer experience. So in summary, I believe that my experiences in the dealership world has given me a unique opportunity into the expectations of the OEM customer. And it is my sincere hope that we will continue to achieve a high level of customer satisfaction through superior service and through the being of a relationship-based company.
Thank you very much, Gary. And to Ralph Shaheen, the dealer in the room. And be honest, kind of be brutally honest. You know, when I invited you to join the conference, and I wanted a dealer to attend the conference, and perhaps more particularly for this session, you know, I'm interested in, you know, I suppose I would ask you the question is vehicle logistics really important to you as the CEO of a dealership? But firstly, if you can give us a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, and your dealership, and then maybe look at that you know, as the CEO of a dealership, how important is vehicle logistics to you, and knowing about the latest trends, etc. Ralph.
Great, thank you, Louis. Our dealership is located in Lansing, Michigan, which is about 80 miles northwest of here. We're a large dealership. We consistently rank in the top 150 Chevrolet dealerships in the country. So far this year, Shaheen Chevrolet has sold 1,675 new vehicles and 1,428 used vehicles. And we are the face of the brand. We are the conduit that links the manufacturer, the brand, and the consumer. And Rebecca, I'm glad to hear that dealerships are not dead yet. I appreciate that. But she is so right and spot on. We're finding that people used to visit about 4 to 5 dealerships before they bought a new vehicle, or a used vehicle for that matter. And now it's about 1.2 because they're on the internet. The internet has become our new showroom. So when a customer, as we refer to them as guests, come in to our store, pretty much they've got all their homework done. They know what all the vehicles are. They know the price of the vehicles. They know the price of the used vehicles. They know where the market is. We do use VIN Solutions. We do use KBB and a couple of other your products, Auto Trader as well. And it's very important because transparency is one of the most important things for a customer. If you're not transparent, they're gone in a heartbeat. You cannot fool around with it. We even have, now we're closed on Sunday because in our county, Ingham County, there's a Sunday blue law that says we can't be open on Sundays. So we've got stickers in each one of our vehicles with a number that they can text. And as soon as they text that number to us, information on that vehicle comes right to their mobile device. If you're not there within a few seconds, they're gone. If you're not 1 or 2 clicks away, they're gone. We employ 8 people in our business development center that do nothing but answer the phone, answering the internet questions, and schedule appointments. That is a function that has become a necessity in the automobile business. Like I said, we are the face of the dealership, of the manufacturer. And in today's market, the need for transparency and the need for expediency has become more prevalent than ever. Transportation. A lot of times somebody will order a vehicle and we expect the vehicle to be in 4 to 6 weeks. And what happens is that vehicle may be pulled off the line for a quality check. We don't hear about it from the manufacturer. It gets lost in this abyss, and the customer's looking for their vehicle. They probably sold their trade-in or we've bought it from them, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting. And we don't have the communication. Nobody can tell us where the vehicle is. We finally find out it's in quality control. That's very, very important for us to know. So communication for us is a very key to our logistics. Constraints on manufacturing are very important. We just received information about Equinox, and that's one of our most popular vehicles. It comes in 2-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. And we found out that the all-wheel drive is going to be constrained come February. So now we're ordering like crazy to get 4-wheel drive Equinoxes in before the constraint hits. Last year we had the same situation with Silverados, 4-wheel drives. Obviously in Michigan, 4-wheel drive is very important. It's not so important in Florida or Texas or California, but it is in Michigan. People want 4-wheel drive vehicles. We got caught short. So information from our manufacturer is very important to our logistical plans. Also in the same light, the generational gap, we're finding that millennials are people that want information now. They don't want it later, they want it now. Every millennial has a mobile device sewn to their hand practically. I don't know if you walk on, we live close to Michigan State University. I'll drive on campus. There'll be 3 students walking down the street together, and none of them are talking to each other. They're all on their phones. I don't know if they're texting each other or what they're doing, but it's amazing. You've all seen it. So communication is very, very important in logistics for us. The dealership is like a balloon. If you think of the dealership as a balloon, inventory comes into that balloon and goes out of the balloon, and it expands or contracts, and that allows our manufacturer to have an even flow of production. They can order parts, components, tires, windshields, paint, and whatever they need, and they can keep a steady flow. And the dealership absorbs that inventory and contracts as sales come and go. So I think the dealership is still a very important link to the automotive industry. But transparency, I think, is our biggest key, that we have to be ready, willing, and able to be able to deliver any and all information that our customer wants. And we have our mission statement says the Shaheen Chevrolet team is dedicated to providing the ultimate automotive experience. And that's so true, because all of our inventory comes from the same place. It comes in the same colors. It comes with the same equipment on it. It's the same price. But what is the difference? It's us. We have to stand ready to deliver on our mission statement, the ultimate automotive experience. Thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you. Dennis, you've also been one who's been in different parts of the industry, from sales to LSP to logistics and so on. Firstly, can you share a little bit about that background? What have you been involved in when it comes to finished vehicles? And then maybe the additional question to you is about that communication. What's being done, what can be done to make sure the communication throughout this whole process can be improved.
Is this mic working, by the way? Is this on? Great.
Yeah, it is now.
Thank you. Yeah. So my background, for those in the audience I don't know, which I know about half the room in here, is so I had a 30-year plus career with Honda in various sales positions, and then in the logistics and distribution field. So like the rest of the panel, I've got some different perspectives on this whole thing. And you know, coming from the Honda world and then with road and rail services, who I'm with now, you know, first and foremost, the focus is always on the customer. And nothing happens until you sell a car, right? Amen. Nothing out here happens till we sell a car. And that's something that you always focus on, regardless of the name brand that you represent, is you got to satisfy that customer. You got to sell that car. And we live in a business of so much data, right? There's so much, which Rebecca is so wonderful at, by the way. And but you have to know how to use that data and to make your decisions and drive and manage your business. And this is a complex industry. This is such a complex industry. And I'm fortunate where in my new role, where I get to go visit a number of the different brands. And it's always amazes me when I go visit the factories where the different cars are built, that all this components come in one end, and out on this other end comes a great product built by whoever the name brand is. But in regards to the customer, and I'll piggyback on one of the words you used, but you know, you have to have visibility, and you have to be communicative throughout the process. And you know, whether you're dealing with the dealer itself or the retail customer or even the service providers, you have to have visibility of where we are in the process. And there's always going to be issues, like you pointed, I think, Equinox, which you had a production issue or whatever. And that happens with every nameplate in some regards. You know, that happens with manufacturing. But just like you were communicated with, the better we are as an industry, and wherever you fit into that process, when an issue arises and you communicate those issues, then that allows the network and the supply chain to react and adjust and hopefully take a corrective measure to handle that throughout. And so like in your case, if you're going to have an interruption, you know, then you can make a business decision to, you know, adjust and go forward. And because that's, I think Anu was talking this morning with some of the recalls and campaigns and things. And, you know, these are complex manufactured products. I mean, you know, cars and trucks today have so much components and computers and things. And so, you know, issues come up. And but you know, so when a problem comes up, you have to have visibility. You've got to be communicative, and you'll do a better job servicing the customer with whatever that issue might be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And again, if there's any questions or comments from the floor, the usual kind of rules: raise your hand, wait for the microphone. Okay. Question to Gary, really. You gave us a good overview, but if you could give one piece of advice to the dealers, how they can get more from the transportation company, what would that be, Gary?
Well, I would say from the dealer perspective is, you know, there's several things that could be done, but one thing could be done. And I know we've had a lot of discussion about it. If we could have the ability to deliver more vehicles after hours, would help with our assets and, you know, improve the flow of cars coming in. So that would be one of the things that if we could get, and when we've been talking about that ever since I've been on this side of the aisle, I guess, about how we could deliver after hours, STI or after hour deliveries. So if we could embrace the dealer body into allowing us to deliver vehicles after hours, I think it would be a big help to this industry.
Dennis, you were kind of on both sides. Were you able to have those kind of conversations with the dealers? How was the communication with you and the dealers? Was it via a dealers association, or were you able to communicate more directly?
Yeah, Gary and I, we actually had this conversation earlier, and it's you know, that's a key part of this whole supply chain thing is maximizing the hours that you can, you know, provide that product to the dealers. And you know, I would encourage every OEM, you know, frankly, to look at that part of the business, because it helps out the car haulers, it helps out the entire network as you expand those hours of service. And you know, a lot of the dealers, at first, I think they're a little hesitant with making that change until they better understand the rules of the delivery. But it really opens up their business, and instead of impeding the flow of traffic with the delivery of products during the 9 to 5 working hours, you know, you do it after hours. And there's a lot of dealers out there who, frankly, they would prefer that than having it during that 9 to 5 window where they can have it after hours. They get 2 days, frankly, for the inspection piece. And then from as far as the car hauling side of the business, they expand the time that they can use those assets. So it's a great piece of our business that, you know, a lot of OEMs can expand.
Okay, Ralph, how do you know, if we stick on that particular point about after hours, firstly, how is this? Do you have this conversation within, you know, with your particular supplier? And if you do you have it with General Motors, or do you have it with your logistics service provider? Is it something that you would be interested in, or is it something you already do? And how can we improve this communication process so that ideas that maybe come from the logistics company get shared so that it reaches you, or the other way around, to make sure that ideas that you have reach the logistics provider?
Well, it's a little tough sometimes. The 2-day inspection is good, but we've found times that we've missed damage because they were dropped off and we didn't catch it. Also, first thing that comes to my mind is security with the vehicles that are dropped off. We've had to take and put fencing around our dealership to prevent theft, so that's a little hard. We're fortunate that we have 2 different facilities, so the cars are not dropped off at the main retail facility. They're dropped off at a secondary facility, which was our old store, which is about 4 miles away. The cars are prepped there and then brought to the new car sales department. But I think security and inspection are the 2 biggest things that would hinder us from doing that. We'd have to have some place that is secure when they're dropped off.
Okay. A question at the front here, please. Sorry, Marty, he's a little bit old, the guy bringing the microphone, so take it easy on him.
Thank you. Marty Kolbeck with Auto Warehousing, and the new initiative for the manufacturers, it's not a new initiative, it's a 2-year initiative, is for the electronic proof of delivery. And we have a transporter and we have a dealer, and I'd like to get the input of both of you. First, as a dealership, do you use or utilize the electronic proof of delivery currently, and what is your opinion of it? And secondly, Gary, what is your opinion of the electronic proof of delivery? Has it been beneficial for you? Is it working out? And is it something that you see expanding?
I'm sorry to say I don't know if we do or not. We probably do, and but I really can't speak to it.
Well, I can say that we're 100% compliance with the e-pod delivery, and I think it's a beneficial to everybody. Paperless is actually more efficient, and we have embraced e-pod delivery for several months now, and we're 100% compliance, and I think that everybody will be to that degree at one point.
Okay.
And Lou, if I can jump in, I mean, that's one of those great industry tools where it gives you that visibility that we were talking about a moment ago. And because as an OEM, you know, with the paper system, you have to wait till that's put back into the system itself, and I mean, that's how you can check to see when your delivery is. Well, with the e-pod, it's obviously instantaneous. And so every day, if you have a very high percentage, your product's being delivered with electronic proof of delivery, which I think most of the car haulers today, the bigger ones anyway, are utilizing. Boy, for an OEM, that is a great way to record your deliveries.
Okay, thank you. A question I think out to some of the logistics providers themselves, and I don't know who's going to kind of take it on, but it was the points that were mentioned earlier about, or 2 points I'd like covered, whether it can be by two different people, but one is the transparency. What are you or can you do as logistics service providers to encourage the transparency? And the second question would be how you communicate with dealers. Is it direct? Is it indirect? Is there a clear communication, or are you going through different sectors so the information kind of eventually gets to the dealer, or are you able to communicate more directly? So 2 questions. So if anyone wants to answer either one of those or both of those. Does anyone, because I know the people in the room, so I can pick on you, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to volunteer first. Okay, then I'm going to pick on Andrea Amico, just because I've never liked the guy, so.
I knew that.
Andrea.
Well, actually, I'd like to pivot on this one and ask a question about how dealers get involved into thinking how a logistics company can help them, because some of the topics have been brought up here on this stage were about different hours of operations, and all of those topics are really important to us as a logistics company. But I think that until dealers start to ask how can people in the value chain, in the supply chain, help us sell more cars, I think that some of these discussions will actually not be unlocked, and there's a lot of things that companies like ourselves can do for dealers. We just don't know what the right forum for that. So I don't know if you sit on the dealer council, but if you are, I would encourage you to start asking, how can people that see that car before help me generate a better sales throughput, because we probably can.
That's a good question and a good point. It is a source of frustration for me, or maybe perhaps misunderstanding from my side, that for a few years I've been trying to get dealers to join the conference and the sessions. I've spoken to NADA and asked them how important is vehicle logistics to the North American Dealers Association, and the answer that actually comes back is not very important at all. Okay, I'm in the logistics. Okay, I'm not in the logistics industry, but I touch the automotive logistics industry and the finished vehicle logistics industry, and I'm still astounded that the answer is that they're kind of not interested in vehicle logistics. So again, throw the question back at Ralph is what is the best way to communicate, to get your concerns through to the logistics providers, and how do you do it? Are you on dealer councils? Are you on, how does that kind of work? So it seems to me there's too much of a disconnect between the people who do it and the people who kind of want it. There's got to be a closer link.
It is a big disconnect, Louis. And I did serve on National Dealer Council for 3 years. I'm 1 year off. It's a 3-year stint, so I'm 1 year off from doing that. And I think dealers are very, very frustrated because they don't have any control over when or how their vehicle is delivered, especially in a situation where it's a special customer order. People, because you try to estimate, the customer will say, well, I'm ordering it today, when will the car be here? Well, 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. How long is it going to take? And then you can say, well, your car is built and shipped, because we can see the report from our distribution system. Well, when will it get here? Oh, well, we don't know. It's on the truck. Well, where is it? Oh, we don't know. And there really is not a good way that I have seen for dealers to provide feedback. I can call my zone manager, the zone manager can call the regional manager can call the distribution manager to try to find out where the vehicle is or when it'll be here. But we really shouldn't have to do that. I mean, if there was a tracking number, that would help. Something, FedEx does it, Cabela's does it. You order something online, you get a tracking number, you know when and where it's coming from. But I think dealers feel very frustrated that they don't have any control. You can try to feed that up through the National Dealer Council system. So you can talk to your rep can go to the meeting. But if there's not a interest in that topic in a broad basis across the country, it probably won't bubble up as an issue for Dealer Council.
Well, and that's a huge issue for the consumer who's waiting for that vehicle. They're sitting there waiting for it, and it puts your dealership at risk if they can find it someplace else. If they haven't made a special order, if they just want a generic Honda CR-V, they're going to go and look at it in other places if they want that Equinox. And then if it gets there and it's damaged and they have to wait, and that from a consumer perspective is incredibly frustrating. And so,
well, Rebecca, that's all your fault.
Yeah.
Because you've made the information so transparent, and everybody can see everybody's inventory all across the state. They can just go get it somewhere else.
It's true, but what differentiates is that cool little number that they can text on a Sunday and get a response from you. But I think it's really important from customer satisfaction. A vehicle is their second largest purchase. This is not to be trifled with. And I think that the opportunity that dealers have and logistics have to get that product there, because if the dealer doesn't sell that car, nobody wins, right? This is the thing, is that especially as we move, when we talk about different generations, there's a lot of discussion about Gen Z, which yes, we do study Gen Z now, they're 15 and younger, and what they want in a vehicle. And this is where the biggest risk comes into the dealership model. You have to provide that level of immediate gratification. We are not like Europe where people order cars. People want to leave that day with their car. And that's our mentality. Maybe if it's a Saturday, they'll wait till Monday. But ideally, you're going to leave, you're going to drive out, you're going to drop the keys of your old car and drive out with your new one. And so that's where, to me, logistics is so important in making sure that that inventory is correct and what people want.
And that's so true, Rebecca. It absolutely is true. The immediate gratification, especially with the millennial generation, they want to come in, they've already done their homework, they want to come in, they want to buy that vehicle, and they want to get out of Dodge as fast as possible. Get out of Chevrolet as fast as possible.
Well, I can say that when I was a dealer.
So we didn't catch
Okay.
that.
I can say that when I was a dealer that I could agree with Ralph. The frustration level is, where's my car? We would always ask, where's my car? Well, I'm on the different side of the aisle right now, and I can say that when the car is available to be delivered, I make sure that we try to deliver that car, because I understand the importance of getting that car delivered. Sold units, units that are going to be launched, first units. So from my perspective, I understand both sides. I've been on both sides of the aisle, and getting the car, once the car is available to us, we make sure we make that a priority to get the car delivered, because I understand the importance of getting the car delivered timely.
And Louis, I'll jump in. I think we have a lot of great car hauling companies represented this week, and I think all these guys are pretty good about staying connected with the local regional offices. And if they know that they've got a car that's sold, they'll prioritize it. And I think they're all good guys where they try and make sure that customer does get satisfied. The stumbling point is probably at the production side, where sometimes you'll have a product hold of some kind and getting it out of the plant and get it moving. So once you get it moving, it helps out a bunch. Typically, there's more visibility with each of the OEMs once it's moving, though, and that's the first step.
Any questions or comments from the audience? And I'm not sure, I'm probably stressing a point now, and I'm not sure if there's anything to add to it, but I do think that connection process is weak, and I do think that's something that the industry can improve on. The disconnection between the dealer and the logistics company. I think there needs to be a better way of of sharing information and concerns on this sector. Just take a question from the gentleman at the front, not least because he takes our photographs, and if I don't take the question, goodness knows, he might make me look bald and fat or something, and we don't want that to happen.
Because of the disconnect that's been mentioned during the conversation, does it behoove the dealership to extend itself further into technology? Because I go to a lot of dealerships that I've seen, and a lot of them, outside of the occasional email, there really isn't this kind of infrastructure with hardware or software that's being developed. I don't want to say a large majority of them because I don't know, but I mean, does the onus fall on the dealership, or does it fall on the OEM, or how do you move this process along?
Are you speaking logistically as far as delivery of the vehicle? Or are you speaking logistically as far as the vehicle to the ultimate retail customer?
Both, actually.
You can only have one.
Okay.
I think the onus falls on both of us. It really does. To deliver information on the spot, we use the iPads out on the lot a lot. We use our mobile devices out on the lot a lot to get that information. I mentioned earlier, we're not open on Sundays, so we have a number they can text to get information on that vehicle over and above what we put on the labels of the vehicles there. We take umpteen pictures and put them on the internet. They can access those on their mobile device if they're on the lot on their off hours as well.
But I think technology can help with that tracking of that vehicle. And that's where the role of the manufacturer comes in. That's where the role of NADA in many ways comes in, to get some kind of a system-wide ability to do this. And so you have one web of information so that any dealer can access that information and know. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy that you don't know where your vehicles are at any given time. As you say, Ralph, a tracking number. You can use FedEx. You always know where your Amazon packages are. You always know when they're delivered. This is not new technology. It's just something that needs to be applied, I think, to this industry more effectively.
If I can jump in. So before a car is built and a VIN is created, you have a PIN. And so when that PIN is assigned to that production unit, there is a production window. And it's a little bit on the broad side, but it kind of gives you an idea of first half of the month, second, that kind of thing. Then once you get a VIN assigned, then you have a more narrow window. And this is a generalization for the different OEMs. The key is it has to go in transit. And that's where you get the thing moving, because again, as everybody in this room knows, product holes and this kind of thing. And so you've got to get the thing moving. And then once it's moving, now you're going through the network, right? And you can track it on the rail side. It's actually a pretty good system. And then once you hit the destination, and then you have the offload, and then it's transferred to the car hauler, right? And most of these guys are pretty good of, once it's offloaded and assigned to the car hauler, most of them, it's kicked out of there 2, 3, 4 days, Barry? Is that a good, because these guys, they're under pressure too to get these things delivered. But there's obviously a number of phases that this thing goes through. First thing, A, get it built, get that VIN assigned. B, get it released out of the plants or the ports, get it moving. And that helps out tremendously. But it's an elongated process, as we all know. And it's always the one that's sold that you've got a hot customer for, and that somehow seems to stumble from time to. I mean, that's always the deal. Yeah. So, but give this guy a microphone. He wants to talk. I can tell.
Sometimes you wonder if you.
Can we take the mic? Sorry, we can't hear you. So if we can just take the microphone across. I know you're shy, but we'd like to hear you.
He's a frustrated car hauling guy, Gary.
Don't even turn it on. So sometimes you wonder if you wouldn't establish that date and work backwards. You know, establish the date that you want to put customer in hands with the car, and then work the process backwards and study the process, because there is so many complexities that lead into, you know, from manufacturer out gate at plant to delivery at dealership. And you've just identified all of them, from night drops to logistics planning and the different methods of shipment that it goes through. So it seems like with all the technology that we have today and the internet purchasing and the internet shopping, that we would line up the delivery process a little bit tighter, so that we're shooting for a date of, planning for a date that it would arrive at the dealership, so that everybody isn't jumping through hoops last minute trying to save a sale or save the buyer from wandering down the street.
Well, and again, to jump in here, because I've done a number of these different jobs, on the retail side, sometimes the salesman or manager, he'll make a commitment that's a little tight. So now you're in a trick bag from the get-go. Sir, we can have it next weekend. You know, and so, and as Barry just pointed out, there's so many handoffs on this thing, and that's where that complex, you know, so now you've got a tight window, all these handoffs, and then, oh my gosh, now there's a quality hold someplace, well, because he can't pick it up until the quality hold's released, you know. And this is the thing that everybody in this room deals with, but that's kind of how the thing works, is with the PIN and the VIN, and there are dates assigned, there are windows assigned to these things, and every OEM's a little bit different, but you have to be careful to there's more complexity there than ordering a sweater from Nordstrom's, is my point.
Well,
so.
I think and you're absolutely right, but it's about information.
Yeah.
Right? It's just keeping people informed as it moves through this process.
Right.
Because you feel a lot better. Like even on UPS, you know, they'll have where your package is as you go through that. And so it's not, ideally, yes, you simplify the process, but it's about managing the process and that transparency that you talk about, you know, and how do you utilize technology to enhance that transparency?
I think that's absolutely correct. You know, if just keeping the customer informed, most customers will understand as long as they've got legitimate information that they can count on. Maybe they can, you can loan them a car for a week, or they can borrow a car from a relative for a week or something like, if they're without transportation, if they know. And that's a frustrating thing, because we can't tell them anything.
Right. And when you think about, you know, we all travel, right? We all fly. If your plane is delayed, knowing why just gives you that sense of, all right, now I can make some plans. And so it's just that planning process. That information helps you with that planning process.
Just buy the car that's on the damn lot, so. And finance with the dealer. Or not.
No, thank you very much. And I just kind of, just a thought really, it's Catherine, who works with me in my team, kind of like my boss now somehow, bought a new car. It was promised to be delivered on the Wednesday. She had her plan, said it was a holiday weekend that weekend. So what I'm going to do is she's going to go here and she's going to go there and meet her family and so on. The car was delayed till Friday, no problem. Then on Friday she got a call that the car wasn't at the dealership and that she'd have it. And then at that stage she still didn't know when she was going to get it. She was distraught. She was in the office and she was really upset because they'd ruined the weekend. She got the car the following Wednesday, okay? And the kind of question, because of, you know, who we know and et cetera, we spoke to people at the brand and whatever it is. And the answer was kind of, well, she's got it, hasn't she? You know, okay, it was a few days late. You know, there were transportation issues. There were this issue and whatever it is. She didn't care. She didn't care about all that stuff. She didn't care whether it was cheaper or whatever it is or whether we deliver at night. That was the first experience of buying a brand new car. And I think that's unacceptable. Unacceptable. It doesn't matter what brand or dealership or whatever it was. That's unacceptable. Maybe our expectations have changed because of Amazon. But I think we all play an important role from the order fulfillment, from the minute the order comes in to the dealer handling, make sure the order goes through, to the manufacturing of the car, to the vehicle transportation and back to the dealer again, that's unacceptable for the second biggest purchase that you make. And I think that's something that we've got to bear in mind in our industry, that we kind of talk about it's for the customer, but it really, really has to be about the customer. So that's, it's kind of, a negative point to kind of end the session on. But I think it's something we should always have in the back of our mind, that it really is about the customer. It's a big expense. Our expectations have changed because of technology and the internet and everything. So,
but again, to jump in, at the outset, you got to set expectations.
Yeah.
Of when you're going to special order something, and when you can expect that to arrive, and again, a lot of the salesmen don't understand. The managers understand a little bit more. It's very complicated processes, we know in the room, but if you can set the expectation and don't paint yourself into a corner too much, it'll help out tremendously. And then these are good guys out here. If Barry and his crew or whoever the car, if they are aware of it, they're going to make sure, like Gary does, that delivery is made. But without a doubt, the analytics of the business can be improved to help these guys out and help the customers out. So,
and the expectation, and setting that expectation, Dennis, is very, very hard because it really differs by model, by manufacturer. It differs by equipment complexity and constraints and all that kind of stuff. So, and it changes constantly. So that's where the communication has to come in from our distribution system.
Okay, so the key there is transparency and better communication. But I'd like to, I'm afraid we run out of time now, but I'd like to thank the panel for, again, a very honest and interesting discussion there on what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's all about the customer. So thank you very much to the panel. The next session back in this room is a bit more specifically on the logistics side of things, on finished vehicle logistics again, and more about designing the network. So please join us back in this room for this session, but join us for the lunch break, which is backed by the exhibition center, which is hosted by Landstar. Thank you.